Ooh, that looks tasty.
Folks, today the Hungry Gamer is back with another crowdfunding preview, and today we're talking about Warcrow Adventures from Corvus Belli. Now, before I get started, please make sure you have your Klingon subtitles turned on in case I make any mistakes on the rules overview. Additionally, please do understand that everything you see here is still in the prototype phase, and that also includes the app here. And sorry about the little cable there, my iPad there was dying. In any event, what Warcrow Adventures is it is the dungeon crawl version of the new system from Corvus Belli called Warcrow. And Warcrow is going to be a fantasy miniatures game. However, they are starting with this dungeon crawl game, and you'll be able to use all the characters and miniatures from this in Warcrow proper, is my understanding. Now, if you're not familiar with who Corvus Belli is the team behind the game Infinity, and Infinity pretty much is the only competitor to Warhammer 40k. Now, I say they're a competitor. It's not like they have a remotely close to 50% market share, but you get the idea. Now they're dipping their toes into the fantasy world, and Warcrow Adventures is that first sampling of this new IP that they have. Now, if you're not interested in how this game is played, I just want to jump into my final thoughts, you want to go to the timestamp on the screen right now. For those of us still here, let's talk briefly about how this is going to work. First off, you'll need to use the app to set up the board. As you may have seen, I skipped past the story there, so limited spoilers, and it's going to tell you exactly what to set up, and you'll see it's showing me to set up these 2 tiles that I have and these 3 tokens, which represent things that you can interact with. Now, as you go through and as you play, there's 2 different phases. If there's no enemies on the board, every character gets to take their free move, which their movement is based on their character, and it's on their character board. You'll see those in just a minute. And one other action. You might take a run action and basically move double, or maybe you'll interact with one of these different things. So just to kind of show you what happens, if I were to interact with this guard right here, I would tap on the space on the board. It would ask me if I want to interact with the guard. I'm going to say yes, I do. And it would give me some dialogue, which I'm skipping past. And now I have the choice. I can either bribe the guard if I had a gold coin, we'll pretend I don't, or I can do a charisma test. And we'll pretend I'm going to do a charisma test. And then it's going to ask me, how well did I do? Well, how do I know? I'm going to go to my character card. In this particular character, we'll pretend that this is who's interacting. I take a look at my stat, and my stat for charisma is 1 orange die and 1 yellow die. So I would gather those dice right here, and I would give them a roll. And you'll notice here that I have an open star. So what you're looking for is a closed-in star. Closed-in star counts as a success. However, the open star could count as a success depending on the character. And the same thing goes with these exclamation marks, which we'll find out later on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at my character board here, and I'm going to see which one am I strong in. I'm strong in knowledge over here. So anytime I get one that's not filled in, it counts as a filled in one for me. So unfortunately, I have 0 successes right here. If I'd been playing this character here, then I would have had 1 success, as you can see, because there's that spot right there. But I got no successes, so I would simply tap on it, I put that I got 0, and I got nothing, and then it's going to tell me exactly what happens, and he would go away, and I would move on. And whatever you're interacting with is probably going to end up in some kind of check, and that's how those checks work. Now, I'm going to move this out of the way and move on into combat and kind of show you how that works. And combat is going to be, as you can guess, based on different character cards. So we'll start right here. We're going to just pretend that I am facing one of these marked right here. And we'll just move that to there. And we're going to bring in our initiative board. And you'll see there's a little wheel that goes around in 1 to 10. You started at 1, and then you're going to look at everybody's initiative. So this bad guy's initiative is 4, so it would start on 4. And then I would take the initiatives for all of my other characters, and I would place them out as well. And so my cleric's on a 4, and my wizard's on a 4. Almost everybody's on a 4 as it gets started. My fighter's on a 5, and my archer is on a 3. And so then you're simply going to go through, and you're going to tick up until you get to somebody. And then they're going to get to take their action. And now I'll show you how the actions work right here. And so, as I bring this up, you will see that I have my board, and I have 3 energy cubes. And I'm going to get to place these energy cubes on these different abilities however I want. Every time I fill up one of these rows that's outlined, that's going to result in me doing an attack. And however, you have to fill it up completely. So you kind of have a choice to where you can fill up this big attack at the top where I would do an attack, then I would get to move, and I would get to mark 2 people, or perhaps I want to come down here where I will take those 2, where I'll get to do my attack, and I'll get to set 1 die whatever I want. And then maybe I'll also come down here, and that would advance my initiative 1, and I'd get to do yet another attack. And so what's happening is each character has their own list of different things that they can do. And of course that combines with their ability here, and whatever ability cards, whatever skills they might have that can boost things as well. But for the sake of argument, we'll just assume that this is what I'm going to do. I've decided I'm going to do an attack, set a die to the number I want, and I'm going to be able to do another move because I'm all the way over here. We'll pretend that I'm all the way over here and I don't think I can get there. So I'm going to do my free move of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I get to do a move for that. And 1, 2, 3. And I got myself in position, and now I'm going to shoot. And I look at my bow. My bow tells me I get 2 yellow dice for that. And then I look at the bad guy's card here, and that tells me that they get a single black die on their defense. And I'll take these and I will roll them. And as we can see here, I got an open hit, which means I missed. They got a defense, and I got 3 of those exclamation marks. Now those are called switches, and you're going to be able to use those to activate various abilities that you may have. Now, currently there's nothing, but let's just pretend that I had marked him earlier, and that would open up this switch here. So I could use those 2 exclamations to do a hit. But if you remember, I also had the ability to set 1 die to whatever I want. So I will also just set this one to that side, and now I'm doing 2 damage. So I do a grand total of 1 damage to him on that particular attack. And that's how combat's going to work, and as you can imagine, each of the different characters does their own different thing. Each one has different gear, different skills, different natural abilities like this one here, and they also have their own completely unique set of icons that they're able to activate with their different energy cubes. But I'm not going to go deep into all of that. We're almost through this, but what happens next is then I would advance myself the exact same number as my initiative. So I would go up 1, 2, 3, just like so. So eventually it's going to come back to me. But maybe I'd picked an ability that pushed me a little bit further, or maybe I have an ability that's going to maybe pushes me back before I go up. So what's happening is you're constantly moving the initiative around the board and changing the order that people are going to be able to attack in as you go around. And it'll go around and around until combat ends. And then you go back to the other version that I already showed you, where each different character is able to do 1 action and a move. Now, you're going to play through this entire campaign using the app as it's going to tell you the story, and you're going to move on through, and eventually the game's going to end. Now, I only got to play this first scenario. That's all that came in the prototype. So, what do I like about this game? First of all, it has all the stuff that I like about Aristea, Infinity Defiance. It has that. The main thing is the face-to-face dice rolling, the switches system, the little mini game that you're playing every single dice roll. It is so unbelievably satisfying to do. I love it. I still love it. And they're now D8s. I didn't realize how much more fun it is to roll D8s than D6s, but I think it is. You can fight me on that. Not as fun as a D12, but more fun than a D6. So I still love that. That's fantastic. I think already, as I'm looking through this, just the tiny bit I've seen, the story to me already has more potential than it did in Infinity Defiance. And I enjoyed the story in Infinity Defiance. But it seems a little more intrigue-filled. Yes, I wasn't surprised with what happened, but it has me wondering some stuff moving forward. It had me writing down hints and clues and what's that going to mean. I found this thing out. What's going to happen later? And I'm intrigued. And that is not something that happened to me with Defiance. So I really like that. But what I think really, really makes this game pop is the way the initiative works. It's not complicated. You're just doing your actions and that's going to send you around the thing. But it just feels like if you're being clever, you can take so many actions. And it's not just move, shoot. Or maybe shoot. It's all this stuff that you are doing because of the way the initiative works and because of the way that energy system works. And I love that energy system too. I think that's fascinating. The decision space that you have is you have to decide, okay, I could do 2 attacks here, or I could throw out these debuffs. Or maybe I'm the cleric, I could do all this healing. Or I could boost my aura. Or I could taunt this guy. Or I could put a hunter's mark on this thing. Or I can put out my little glowy ball of magic-y goodness. Maybe I want a bonus and interact with something. But at the same time, you're still getting to attack with all of those things. And it's great. I love it. Fantastic. Now, along with that, I'm intrigued by the lore. Corvus Belli's been putting out a whole bunch of lore videos. I've watched almost all of them because I'm that kind of nerd. But it is a generic fantasy world, but it's got stuff in there that isn't generic, that is fresh. So it's taking kind of a core fantasy world that you're mostly familiar with and is building on that. And I do think that works well, and I'm very intrigued by the world. I want to know more about it. And then last thing I'll say, and again, this is just a prototype that I have, but it's very clear to me that the components are going to be really, really nice. I mean, this is a really nice prototype, and it's just a prototype. Talk a little bit about the app. Again, this is an early beta version of the app. It didn't have all the functionality of having different monsters and stuff showing up on the app, which I did a demo at Gen Con also, and I have a memory of just having more stuff in the app. The app version I had just basically just ran the story and told me where to set things up, which worked really, really well. But I don't know quite yet what exactly it's going to be. I do like that the story is right there in the app. I hope that I'm able to use the app on my computer as well as on a device, but we shall see what's going to happen. But it just saved a lot of time of going back and forth into the book, and I think I appreciated that, especially if I'm going to be able to just download it and just have it on my device, so I never have to worry about losing it. I really do like that. I think that's very, very promising. So what are my quibbles with the game? First off, don't know where it's going to go. Okay, I only played the one, and I will tell you, Infinity Defiance, the rule book for Infinity Defiance was hard. I still don't play that game right, and I got a whole playthrough series. I'm mostly done. It was just really hard, and I make tons of mistakes as I go through because it's hard to find things. It's hard. The way stuff's laid out, it's challenging. And so far, with the rulebook I had, it was significantly better. There were still some things I was looking for, trying to figure out where they are. So I'm putting in the quibbles just because the rulebook for Defiance was so challenging, and while this looks better so far, it's really good. They got to show me that they can do a rulebook before I'm willing to say, okay, pass. And I don't know if there's going to be stuff in the app. If there's a glossary in the app, a la Familiar Tales, where you can just click on a button and suddenly, whoop, you can go look at what something means, that would solve almost everything. But I don't know if that's something that's going to be in there. So here in the quibbles. Next thing I'll say is, I don't know how expansive the app is going to be. I keep talking about this app, but what is going to be in there? Is there going to be voiceover in there? How functional is it going to be? As I said, I found some clues. Is it going to remember those clues for me? And later it's just going to say, oh, here you go. Here's a thing that's now unlocked. Or am I going to have to make sure I'm tracking that? Again, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how leveling up is going to work. There's just things that I don't know yet, so I can't comment on, which really what I'm saying is you really got to pay attention to what's going on. How does it work? What do they reveal? Because the core of this has incredible promise, but so did Infinity Defiance. So there you have it, folks. That is Warcrow Adventures. I'm high on this. I'm really, really high on this right now. I will say that if this game is half of what I think it might be, this has retired Infinity Defiance for me. And part of it is because I like fantasy more than I like sci-fi, but even with all of the warts that Defiance had, it was in my top 5 dungeon crawls. It's just really fun and satisfying. But I think this could be better. This could be a fantastic game depending on how do they stick the landing with the app. How do they stick the landing with the story? How do they stick the landing with the rules? Because if they do that, this game is fantastic. Just the core mechanics of the energy action selection, the dice rolling and using the switches, that kind of face-to-face kind of mini game, and the initiative system, I think is a breath of fresh air in the dungeon crawl genre. Really like it, really high on it, really wish I had more than what came in the demo because I want to play more. So there you have it, folks. That is Warcrow Adventures. If you're a dungeon crawl person, you probably want to get this one. That's it. I think if you like dungeon crawls and you like fantasy, then you're probably going to want to get this, unless you're like, no, nothing with apps. And okay, I guess maybe if you don't like the head-to-head dice rolling switches thing, but who doesn't like that? Everyone likes that. Okay, except for, yeah, I know you don't like that. Yes, I get it. But besides you, everyone likes it. It's just fun. You're chucking dice, you're having a good time, you're mitigating with your gear. It's great. This is another, I think, potentially fantastic dungeon crawl in what has been recently an incredible slate of amazing adventure dungeon crawls. We have Familiar Tales, we have Stars of Icarios, we have Oathsworn, though mine's not here yet. I haven't played it, but I've been watching people play it. There is more Madara on the way, so there's still Madara out there. There is Dungeon Universalis, which apparently is just the next best thing. All of these things coming in this calendar year, and now this one's coming too. So very, very exciting. Definitely check it out if you like this genre. As always, if I made any mistakes in the rules overview, please let me know in the comments with a timestamp so I can get to the end of the Klingon subtitles. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.